Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. Finally, senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends. And welcome to this, a brand new day. And remember, no matter who you are valid. And if you are a bigot, that is a terrible character flaw. Hokey smokes. Taking a look at my list up there, one of the biggest things that I wasn't going to start with, but I can't remember what I was going to. Pain-related insomnia last night. Hokey smokes. I had been awake for a while before I finally checked the clock. It felt like I'd been awake forever. And it was only 4. So, I don't know if I fell asleep after that, but I was in bed until 7:30ish. And so I've been up since then and been tired. But I've sat around and watched videos. I've eaten food. I've taken a shower. I used to do things in a certain order. I would get dressed. I would, or in this case, take a shower and then get dressed and then eat food and watch videos and then start things off. But I've been doing things like, well, not doing it in that order. Watching videos and eating food and then taking a shower and then getting this started. So, yay for being flexible. Thumbs up. Anyway, though, it is a brand new day, and even though I am very tired, I am alive, and that's a good thing. So, hopefully you too are alive. But the things I have written down up here, one of them, I can't remember if I mentioned this part about the group Electric Callboy back when I was talking about them a lot, months and months back. But I've been watching a few reactions from them. I've been watching a few reactions from people watching for the first time and then being shocked and surprised and then really getting into it. So I've been watching more, but one of the first things about the big song Hypa Hypa, it really reminds me so much of the 1982 release Aldo Nova, the self-titled debut album of the Canadian rocker Aldo Nova. There's a couple vocal parts in there that it's like, oh my god, that's 1982 calling. So thumbs up for that. If you like glam rock, he's credited as like being the very first hair/glam rocker. So it's the very first one, but I really like it. And if you're interested in that sort of stuff, he's on YouTube still. I mean, not still. He's still active in the music field. And the last time I checked, he had an active YouTube channel. So, thumbs up on that. What else do I have up here? I thought maybe I would have other things. Oh, here's one that I'm going to mention before I go into the other. It's lather. And how lather is really good and yet is really annoying at the same time. I mentioned yesterday how I have soft soap, and occasionally the soft soap will deglycerinize and it just turns into like basically water instead of the gloopy stuff that you can make a lather out of and then wash your hands with. And I was thinking about lather while I was taking a shower this morning because of lather. I have not the bottle here, but I use one of these Dial 3-in-1, hey, body, hair, and face things because I'm lazy. But lather is amazing because that's the difference between soft soap being useless, just runs through your hands and doesn't lather so you can't actually wash with it, and being something that sticks around in the clouds of bubbles so you can do something with it. Emergent properties are amazing. And this is where the thought led to, because it starts from the macro. where everything in the beginning, large stars formed just from gas clouds, and then fusion, and all these elements fusing in the cores of these stars, and then supernova. All these elements blasting out into the universe and condensing themselves in such things, in such great amounts that they ignited and became stars themselves, and then disks around them that accreted into planets. And on these planets, elements formed from the very stars that had exploded, but put into such way that life that showed up can bump them together. And these elements have emergent properties that show up in such amazing things as lather, the ability for things to lather up so that you can wash yourself, and other such things, because the annoying part of lathering is, of course, if you are talking and you happen to have excessive amounts of saliva that day, you are going to have frothy saliva deposits in the corners of your mouth that are annoying to have. And I, as much as I had a gap in my teeth all my life, until after my wife died, I had all my teeth removed because they had gone rotten. So lots of reasons, largely alcoholism and just neglecting my alcoholismistic years. And so they had to come out. But because I'd had a gap in my teeth all my life, I wanted to have teeth that looked like my teeth. They're way too perfect. I was a snaggletooth when I was a kid. This half of my teeth were just, some of my teeth were just straight this direction. My mouth was a nightmare. And when I had braces, it was just horrific getting all the teeth twisted and turned. But when we did get them twisted and turned, I had the gap. So because I had a gap in my teeth once I was like, I think mid high school, so like almost 18 or something, I just wanted to have it still. So that's why I have the gap in my teeth. But it's still annoying because dentures, I get spit bubbles that form here when I'm talking, and I don't like that. Yay! But the one thing that I really wanted to talk about from having thought about this one in the shower was, I have mentioned it quite a few times, but it's been in the past and I just want to remember myself. But a large amount of my cryptid world and the characters within and the situations that have happened are formed because of narrative therapy. One of the things that you can do is narrative therapy. If you have an issue, if you have something that you want to work with, you examine your issue and you write a new narrative. It doesn't have to be just once, and it can be something you build into until you have the perfect narrative thing, but it helps you work through the trauma so that you can deal with the issue. Now, you're dealing with it on your own, but that's not a problem if you're able to do so. If you're at a mental state where you can do it without, but if you aren't, of course, like when I had my therapist to talk with. So, I did a lot of the situations, characters, and world building based on what hurt. And taking a rusty dagger, it felt like, and just stabbing it into a wound that hurt, and grinding it till it just, sometimes until I was dragging that dagger tip across bone. But it wasn't until later, as I was realizing that this was helping me. I was feeling better about situations. Yes, I was cutting to get into pockets of infection with a scalpel so I could drain out that gathered infection so it could heal. Yeah, of course it hurt. But it wasn't being done for the sake of hurting. It hurt because I was cleaning it out. In those situations and the characters, yeah, they were all designed to do one thing: hurt, so that I could dig out the infection. Yeah, I was quite often crying as I was walking middle of the night in Shelton, coming up with characters where it just was that knife in the wound, just digging. And yeah, it felt like a rusty dagger, just jammed into the bone and scraping. But once all the pus got out and the wound started to heal and it didn't hurt anymore, that's when I started to realize what I was actually doing. So that's a large purpose of the cryptic world. And once again, I've said this years ago, so I'd be amazed if anyone remembers this part of it at all. With the Inside Outside Razor's Edge, these are largely stories of hope. They're like the Hallmark stories where, someone gets shoved face first into a meat grinder, but they come out the other side, a little injured, they're hurt, they paid a price for it. But what they get in return more than justifies the pain they went through. And so they come out of it better people, better situations, that sort of thing. Those are the Inside Outside Razor's Edge stories. Yes, there are stories of horror where nobody but the bad guy wins. Those stories with Utak and such. But largely they are tales of hope and continuance and one foot in front of the other. But the cryptid side stories, these are stories of people who are shoved face first into the meat grinder, and when they come out the other side, they aren't walking. They are pulling themselves through the mud with one arm, their legs not really working, using their other arm to hold the bleeding holes in their belly shut. And they're just looking for a hole in the ground that they can crawl into and hide in the darkness and lick their wounds until it's all over. These are the cryptid world stories. There are the occasional happy ending, but it's not a world made for happy endings. And so there are characters like Lynn Tanner, who is a archetype of wandering stranger, urban legend, wandering stranger, serial killer. Now, he is of a generation where, his archetype, serial killer, is of common knowledge, not supposed to be able to form friendships. They are loners. And this has been actually largely true, where common wisdom is largely true. But Lynn Tanner is of... Cryptids are not formed of normal evolutionary forces. They are formed by human beings' fears and nightmares and dreams and hopes and everything that's good and bad about us. And as our fears change, the cryptids change. Generations will be different from each other, not because of normal evolutionary forces, but because Well, oh boy, that was a failure of my mouth entirely, wasn't it there? Not because of evolutionary forces, but because fears have changed in a particular country over the past generation or two. That is what separates generations, not differences in nutrition or differences in, oh, there's a new evolutionary branch with a change that made things good, or no, nothing like that. Fears and hopes and dreams and nightmares. As a side tangent on that one, light cryptids have become hungry and starting to eat human beings themselves, as well as dark cryptids doing so, not because of any normal evolutionary forces, but just because of changing fears and dreams and nightmares. But this is the world that they are in. Narrative therapy. One of the things that my therapist has told me, again, was that he was rather still impressed about my tenacity about certain things, where, just as I've mentioned, I have spent a very long time on this, where I stab into the area that hurts and I grind and I dig it out until it's clean, and then I let it heal. But I go at it until it's all emptied out, no matter how much it hurts. And he rather wishes more of his clients would be willing to do the work. And he was the one that suggested narrative therapy to me, so very good thing. But yes, those are more of the things. And Lynn Tanner, again, urban legend, serial killer. Common wisdom is they cannot form friendships. There is another cryptid, Cornetto, who is a physical manifestation of chaos and mayhem. They too, common wisdom, and has been true for thousands upon years at this point, because things change. They are not supposed to be able to form friendships either. But Cornetto and Lynn Tanner are strong friends. And both of them are friends with King Mike, whom, as a ghoul, is also not really supposed to be able to form friendships, but King Mike is being altered without being asked to be altered by the will and the presence that has made him a part of the trio that it needs: presence, mind, body. King Mike is the mind, the corpse of the somehow reconstituted Thomas McGregor is the body, and the presence is the will. And King Mike is being altered by it because he's over 300 and some odd years now, doesn't look over a day over 200. But ghouls do not live much past 300. He should have white hair, bad wrinkles, cataracts, arthritis. No, he has none of that. But yes, all narrative therapy. So thumbs up, and thank you so very much for listening and watching. If you watch, which I suggest, actually, and I'll mention it again, I think it's been a couple of years now, I suggest if you do watch or listen that you put me on in the background. I am a background person thing to listen to. If you're studying, put me in the background. If you're cleaning, put me in the background. If you're exercising, just put me in the background. If you're playing the game and you like to listen to things while you're doing so, just put me in the background. Very rarely am I going to put something on screen that I desperately want you to look at. And if I do, I'll go like, hey, here's this thing here that I think is really cool. And that sort of is an audio clue that I'm talking about something that's on screen, and maybe you might want to look at it. But if you don't, that's fine. You don't have to. I wouldn't want to force you even if I could, which I can't, and that's a good thing too. So, call to action time. If you could like, comment, share, subscribe, that would be very cool. Definitely a thumbs up on that. And hey, if you are a patron, you are beautiful and awesome in every way. Your beauty and awesome surpasses even my capacity for the English language, which, even though I have a love for words and I like to hear myself talk, I've forgotten more than I remember. So joy on that. And if you have left me a comment, thumbs up and thank you. That too makes you a beautiful and awesome person in your own way. I read every comment that YouTube shows me. I thumbs up or heart every comment that I'm allowed to, and I answer as many comments as my nerve compression will let me, which isn't as much as I would like, but it's better than none at all, and it can take me over 24 hours to answer a comment at times, so please give it a check if you really are interested in getting an answer. And if you have watched this far, if you could write adventure into the comments so that both me and the YouTube algorithm know that people actually do play this, that people actually do watch these videos, that would be very, very cool. Thumbs up and thank you each person that does play this. Right off the top of my head, the only name that I can remember, because I've said it before and it's an easy name to remember. Thank you, Jesse Koskinen, for consistently playing this little game. It is appreciated. There are other people that do so, and I wish I could remember your names, and maybe I'll actually write them down for next time. Here is hoping. But it's more than just Jesse Koskinen, but for everybody that does so, thank you so very, very much. I'm going to edit, render, upload, take care of myself. I think I've done everything I need to do in the outside world except go out and let them in the community center, the case managers, know that I'm still alive, since I made a deal out of going out and talking to them about, we should have wellness checks. So who knows? Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Anyway, though, hopefully you can get done the things that you would like to get done. That would be very cool. Definitely a thumbs up. But of course, if you cannot, please do not beat yourself up. That will not help you get it done better next time. And you do deserve better. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side. And that is indeed a very good thing. Definitely a thumbs up on that. Yay. Sore throat. I have to talk to my therapist, good God, my primary care provider, because good golly, Miss Molly, these GERD symptoms are just killing me. It is awful. But it's June before I have my next appointment. So I'm going to have to try and call for something earlier than that, I guess. Yay. Anyway, though, of course, it's GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. It's just heartburn, but just heartburn. You know, it's this, your stomach sphincter relaxes enough that some stomach acids come up your esophagus, and that can cause the tearing and the splitting apart of skin, and if it gets bad enough, veins and arteries, so you can bleed out. So it's not something that's minor. If you have it, take care of it. So I need to take care of it since it's bothering me again after decades. Anyway, you take care, and I'll click here and then turn this off and talk to y'all later.